in the closing months of World War II. As the Third Reich teetered on the edge of total collapse, the skies above Europe buzzed with rumors of untold riches being spirited away by the desperate Nazi regime. These whispers, growing louder as Allied forces closed in, centered on a single legendary tale: the Golden Train. The Golden Train, as it would come to be known, was said to be a colossal Nazi treasure hoard: gold bullion, jewels, priceless art, and other valuable artifacts stolen from the territories conquered by the Germans during their brutal occupation of Europe. Some even speculated that it contained personal items taken from Jewish families sent to concentration camps. The train, heavily armored and fiercely guarded, reportedly vanished into the labyrinthine tunnels of Lower Silesia, deep in the mountainous heart of Europe, never to be seen again. But how could such a grandiose plan come about? To understand the legend of the Golden Train, one must first understand the desperate situation faced by the Nazis in 1945. By that time, the once mighty German army had been decimated by years of brutal combat on multiple fronts. The Reich had lost much of its territory in the east, and the Soviet army, advancing with a relentless fury, was closing in on Berlin. On the Western Front, Allied forces had pushed the Nazis back into the heart of Germany itself. The Nazi leadership, once brimming with confidence, was now confronted with the grim reality of total defeat. Hitler, increasingly isolated and paranoid, had ordered the construction of secret fortresses deep in the mountains of southern Germany and Austria, places where the remnants of the regime could continue the fight, or at the very least, protect their most valuable assets. One such region was Lower Silesia, located in present-day Poland. The area, known for its rugged mountains and thick forests, had long been a site of military activity. The Nazis had used forced labor to carve out massive underground bunkers and tunnels in the area, and these subterranean networks were rumored to contain everything from hidden weapons depots to the Reich's most closely guarded secrets. As the Soviet Red Army stormed across Eastern Europe, the Nazis hastily transported their stolen treasures toward these mountain hideaways. One of these efforts allegedly involved a large, armored train loaded with valuables looted from across occupied Europe. The train's journey began in the city of Breslau, now Wrocław, in April 1945. As Allied forces converged on Germany from all directions, this train packed with gold, diamonds, priceless artworks, and irreplaceable cultural artifacts was sent westward, destined for one of the deep tunnels hidden in the Owl Mountains. According to various accounts, the train was last seen traveling toward Walberswijk, a small town in Lower Silesia, before vanishing into the fog of war. For the Nazis, this was not merely a treasure transport, it was a symbol of their last hope for a future Reich. Nazi officers leading the operation believed that once the war had ended, they could recover the treasure and use it to rebuild their shattered empire. Some accounts suggest that the train was booby-trapped, wired with explosives that would detonate if anyone attempted to access its contents. Others hint at even darker rumors that those who accompanied the train were executed to ensure their silence. When the war finally ended in May 1945, chaos reigned in Europe. The Nazi regime had collapsed, its leaders either dead, imprisoned, or in hiding. In the months and years that followed, the Allies focused their efforts on rebuilding Europe, and many of the Nazis' hidden secrets were forgotten or deliberately erased. Yet the legend of the Golden Train endured. The first serious attempts to uncover the train began almost immediately after the war. Soviet and Polish soldiers, having liberated Lower Silesia, were aware of the rumors circulating about the hidden treasure. Several expeditions were launched, but the complex network of tunnels and the sheer size of the mountains made any search a formidable task. The fact that much of the area was mined or booby-trapped by the retreating Nazis only added to the danger. Although a number of smaller treasures were uncovered in the years after the war, gold teeth, personal items from concentration camps, and Nazi paraphernalia, the fabled golden train remained elusive. As the Cold War deepened and communist governments took control of Eastern Europe, the legend of the golden train began to fade from public consciousness. The region surrounding Walbzijk remained largely off-limits to foreign explorers, and it wasn't until the 1960s that interest in the story was rekindled. That decade saw a wave of renewed treasure hunting, sparked by the accounts of a few surviving Nazi officers and soldiers who claimed to know the train's location. Among these men was Karl-Heinz Richter, a former Nazi officer who had been stationed in Lower Silesia during the war. Richter, who had spent years living under an assumed name in post-war Germany, came forward with a detailed account of how the train had been hidden. According to Richter, the train had been sent into one of the deep tunnels built as part of the Reese Project, a massive, secretive Nazi construction effort that involved the creation of underground bunkers and passages in the Al Mountains. Richter claimed that the tunnel had been sealed with explosives, and the train, along with its precious cargo, had remained buried ever since. Richter's account sparked a flurry of interest, and several expeditions were launched in the 1960s and 70s to find the golden train. Armed with old Nazi maps and newly developed ground-penetrating technology, these treasure hunters scoured the region, searching for clues. However, despite their efforts, the treasure remained hidden. Richter himself disappeared shortly after giving his account, further adding to the mystery. By the 1980s, interest in the golden train had largely died down again. Many historians dismissed the story as nothing more than a myth, a convenient fabrication designed to cover up the Nazis' larger, more widespread looting operations. After all, much of the gold stolen by the Nazis had already been recovered by the Allies and returned to its rightful owners. The idea that a single trainload of treasure could remain hidden, untouched for decades, seemed increasingly far-fetched. But the legend would not stay buried forever. In 2015, two treasure hunters, Pieter Koper and Andreas Richter, no relation to Karl-Heinz, claimed to have discovered the location of the golden train. Using ground-penetrating radar, they announced that they had found a large object buried deep underground near Walbzijk, close to the railway line where the train was last seen. The media frenzy that followed was immediate and intense, with headlines around the world proclaiming the imminent discovery of Nazi gold. The Polish government, initially skeptical, agreed to oversee an excavation of the site. As digging began, the world watched with bated breath, hoping to finally uncover the lost treasure. However, as the days stretched into weeks, it became clear that no train would be found. Geologists and archaeologists who studied the radar images suggested that the supposed train was nothing more than a natural rock formation. By the end of the year, the excavation was called off, and once again, the golden train remained a mystery. Today, the golden train is a symbol of the enduring allure of hidden treasure. While most historians believe that the train, if it ever existed, was likely destroyed or dismantled during the final days of the war, many treasure hunters continue to search the forests and mountains of Lower Silesia, convinced that the legendary treasure still lies hidden beneath the earth. For some, the golden train represents more than just the promise of material wealth. It is a symbol of the dark secrets that still lurk beneath the surface of history, secrets that, like the train itself, may never be fully uncovered. And yet, as long as the legend endures, so too will the search for the lost treasure.